Hello, my name is Phil Jackman, and welcome to this week's InConversation, in which I talk to people in the Northeast dynamic and exciting cybersecurity industry. Brought to you by Dynamo Northeast Cybersecurity Cluster. We're supported by Accenture and the Innovation Super Network, and we're part of UK Cyber Cluster Collaboration, or UKC3, to give it a snappy title, and recognised by DCMS and the NCSC as representing the region. Today, I'm joined by Luke Browell, and if I get this right, Lead Solutions Architect, brackets, Change Agent in Human Factors Engineering, Security and AI, close brackets, DXC Technology. Hi Luke, how are you?
I'm doing really well, Phil. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here today. Thanks for inviting me along.
Well, that's great, but could you start with telling us a bit about yourself and your role at DXC Technology?
Oh, absolutely, no problem at all. I think first thing to say is that titles can be misleading. Basically, I'm a technologist, and I work with lots of different teams in lots of different areas of the business to help them achieve what they need to do. And that can be everything from enterprise architecture, where we're looking at things from all the way from a discovery phase all the way through to delivery, post-delivery, business as usual, post-live, all those sorts of things. All the way down to mentoring individual architects, developers, testers, working with different teams to establish best practices, helping them to understand what it is that we're trying to do, either for a client or as a business, or working on various different initiatives. So I get to work with lots of different people, and all the way up and down the organization as well. So we get to run workshops with executives from across the organization.
Excellent. So DXC Technology is a huge corporate multinational providing mission critical IT services, if I remember rightly. So can you tell us a bit more about the company and the local operations, how it is nationally and globally?
So as you correctly said, DXC is a multinational organization. We're an IT services company. Our origins are in CSE and HP enterprise services. And they're coming together and merging those two has formed the company as it now is. We work in a numerous number of countries around the world, doing lots of things for governments, for private enterprises, for businesses, and for everything in between.
And how does cybersecurity then fit in with DXC's activities?
Well, because we're working in IT, like any other current IT vendor or any other IT service provider, IT security is part of what we do. It's no longer a bolt-on to what anybody can do. It has to be part of your feature set, and so we very much think of security as part of how we weave our applications.
And so we've talked in the past about your interest in the human aspects of cybersecurity. People find interesting ways to get around any security that you put in. How do you design architecture to work with human nature?
Well, it's how you design anything to work with human nature. It's through empathy. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the users who are going to use the system as intended. Put yourself in the shoes of the users who are going to use the system as it's not intended to be used, and also put yourselves in the shoes of the people and the individuals, the actors, the threat actors who are going to try and abuse the system and get into it or get around it or misuse it for their own purposes.
And so I presume, though, people act differently in different times. So if you're a bit stressed, you'll act differently than when you're calm and collected. I suppose that's how some of these things work. Do you build this into your calculations or into your efforts?
Excuse me. Yeah, so one of the things that we look at whenever we're working on any solution is we look at the various different threat factors. We're very keen on helping not only our own teams, but also our clients to have situational awareness around the applications that they're building or servicing or deploying. And part of that is a threat modeling process that we use with all of the tooling and deployments that we create. But also we have dedicated security teams who will assist existing operations teams or existing application teams to augment their approach and make sure that they're bringing the latest knowledge of threat actors and the environment to bear.
So we're in kind of the UX domain now. Can you design out human frailty?
Definitely not. No, you can't design out human frailty, and you shouldn't try and obfuscate it or conceal it either. It's really important that when you're designing applications and software that you're exposing and making obvious the things that are the side effects of the interactions that users are having, so that the users can be informed. We know from human factors engineering that humans will naturally fall back on whatever approach is easiest for them. We're naturally very lazy as humans, and as a consequence, we'll rely on our heuristics, we'll rely on our biases, rather than necessarily following the right steps in the right process at any given time. And so when you're designing these experiences for applications, when you're designing the developer experiences for development pipelines, you have to be thinking about what's going to be the root of least resistance, and how can we help automate the things that are going to reinforce the correct culture and the right values and the right approaches to protecting our assets.
Almost a nudge in terms of approach rather than a definitive approach, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of factors. You've got a definitive approach in terms of all the kind of the training that you give your people and the training that you give your clients. But at the same time, you need to be aware that training in the mind of the person who's undergone it will slowly ebb over time. And so the processes and procedures that you put around how they're supposed to work need to reinforce the behaviors that you want them to have.
Excellent. So we hear a lot of these days about zero trust, yet we need to trust the people who work for us, presumably to some level. So how do you square that circle?
I think the fundamental tenets of zero trust it's about ensuring that the right people have just the amount of trust that they need. And when you're creating systems and processes and procedures, nothing has fundamentally changed in the way that trust works. As humans, we've added layers of technology, but fundamentally, you still need peer review. You still need to have dual sign-off, dual controls. It's just as if you were learning to drive a car, so that to ensure that the things are done properly and above board, and that the zero trust model is sustainable. It's a bit like other terms that we frequently hear, like serverless. Of course, there are still servers. It doesn't mean there are zero servers, but it does help us understand the idea, and it's the same with zero trust.
I think your driving the car analogy is quite good, because they say that you don't start to learn to drive till you've passed your test. So I presume there's a kind of maturity level. And so what have you put in place to raise the security maturity level within your organization and your customers?
Well, it really depends on the accounts that we're working with. So we work very closely with our customers to understand what their current security maturity level is, and also the technological maturity level in other areas as well, in terms of quality control, CI/CD, DevOps pipelines, all that sort of stuff. It's all very synergistic in terms of how it can influence one another. And once you've kind of got a baseline understanding of what that particular account's current status is, then you look to sort of move it towards where it currently is, to where you want it to be, which is your sort of panacea state. And there's incremental steps for getting there. You can employ all sorts of different techniques for change control management, for transformation of an organization, in terms of bringing in champions to specific teams to specifically champion certain behaviors or best practices. And that can be accomplished in your security teams, as well as it can be accomplished in your development or operations teams.
Okay, and there's constant innovation in cybersecurity. It just seems something new, both threat and innovation comes out every day, if that's the right word. So what do you think's just come over the horizon? What do you think's next in cybersecurity?
That's really difficult to say. I think you have to expect the unexpected and be aware of your current situation. Of course, we're going to see increasing amounts of automation of threat vectors that have previously been novel, and almost like the democratization of those sorts of threat vectors, as we have done in the past. So, for instance, a few years ago, you would have cryptoware, these sorts of things would have been novel, and then they moved to being in a state where you could, effectively just download a package and have them deployed for you automatically. And I think we're going to start seeing that increasingly more now, with even the more recent exploits that people are being exposed to, the recent ones like Log4j, such as that.
Yeah. So this is my last question. Maybe you're pleased to know, but we're still in January, the time of resolutions and that kind of thing. So, what are your hopes in terms of the future? What's your resolution when it comes to cybersecurity for this?
Well, I'm passionate about seeing the people that I work with really grow and thrive and come into everything that they're able to do. So, my ambitions for this year are to see the new teams that I've just started working with really be enthused about and understand the importance of security within their sphere,
we hire quite a lot of new people, and building those teams together and ensuring that they capture and understand our core culture as they come in is something that's very important for me. So that's my main ambition for this year, and to continue producing great software and delighting audiences.
Excellent. Cybersecurity is certainly a team sport. But well, look, thank you very much for that, Luke. I'd also like to thank Robert Campbell, who's helped me to set up these InConversations. He does all the background stuff. Look out for the next in our series, and if you're interested in taking part or know someone is, please get in touch. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks again. All the best.
That was In Conversation with Phil Jackman, lead for Cyber North. Audio and video production was by me, Robert Campbell. This was a Team Funds production for Dynamo Northeast.